Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. It's HVS Extreme Night. We're going to be giving an episode which a lot of people have asked for over the years. It's kind of like a little primer to Norwegian black metal. We've each picked out our 10 favorite mandatory Norwegian black metal albums that we love a lot. They could be from back in the glory years. They could be some more recent stuff, right? 10 classics that everybody who wants to get into Norwegian black metal should own or should at least hear. Let me introduce the crew that's going to help me out on this tonight. So we got, of course, Count Ralphus in the house. Nick Franco is here. And, of course, Ryan Scow as well. What's going on, folks?
What's up, Pete?
What's up? Excited.
I know you are. This is Nick's favorite style of music right here. So,
Something that Nick knows very little about, and he's going to be
Yeah,
just throwing it at his ass the whole time here.
I'm probably gonna fuck up everything I know and say nothing.
so we have a lot of albums to talk about, and we do have a little bit of overlap. So I'm going to ask everybody to go through their list of 10. And but there's going to be certain people that are going to be talking about certain albums.
Hmm.
So you'll see a little bit of mix up here as far as when people are talking and whatnot. So Nick's going to go through his 10. He's going to be helped out a little by Ralph for an album or two. So whenever we have overlap, well, I'm only going to have one person actually talk in depth about the album, and then stuff that we have that nobody else has picked, we'll get to talk about. That's how it's going to work. So you'll have lots and lots of stuff to dig into here on this episode tonight. We're going to try and keep it brisk and moving along because there's a lot of records to talk about. So Nick is going to kick us all off with his first selection here.
All right. My deepest apologies. No. Um, yeah, I obviously love this style of music. I feel like it's something that I was introduced to at about 18 years old, thought it was a little much, and then I don't know, it just clicked, and here we are. So I think the important thing to remember about Norwegian black metal particularly is it's as much Vivaldi as it is Venom. And that a lot of these albums, the theme is going to be that the guys, the kids who made this, because at the time most of these albums were made, these guys were incredibly young, um, as young as 14, 15, as maybe 20 years old in that range. They grew up with a lot of classical music influences and education and Norwegian black metal, classic Norwegian black metal. Um, it's as much about time and place as it is about, composition. They were just in this right sweet spot where they discovered Kiss and Venom and Merciful Fate and then had this background in classical music. So with that, the first one I'm going to talk about is the debut album by the band Arcturus. Um, and this is I got this one. This is the album is called Aspera hiems Symphonia. And this itself was bought a long time ago on Century Black Records, which it's pretty cool. I got this early on, and then they put out a box set of their vinyls, so I got it on that. Um, this is one of my most prized possessions, so it's a good first album to talk about. It came out in 1996, which is a few years into the movement. Um, and the thing that you want to focus on with Asperheim Symphonia is that it's like celestial heavy metal meets classical with like all kinds of like choruses out of nowhere and clean vocals and all these compositional departures that just work so well. And if you focus on the musicians, you have Garm from the band Ulver on vocals, phenomenal vocalist. He can do it all. He can screech like he's possessed. He can sing. The keyboard player, Steinar Sverd Janssen, one of the most talented keyboard players. Again, genre transcending. You have Hellhammer on drums, who we're going to talk about tonight a few times, and Carl Tideman on guitar, who's another genius. I believe that black metal should be arrogant and cold and just like have this little something, and this album has that little something. So it just puts you into this atmosphere. It's not particularly evil, but there are some uncomfortable moments on the album that when I was a kid driving by myself, there's these like reverse vocals in one of the songs that like just kind of would like make the hair stand up. So it achieves what it sets out to do, but it also is this really proggy, unbelievable masterpiece. So that's that. All right. And now you want me to just blow through them all, right?
Yep.
All right. Put that over there. And the next one, I'm going to talk about is Ancient. And the album, of course, is their first one. It is Svartalvheim. You see the guy blowing fire. That's a very important thing. It's a big it's a big
Yes.
part of the atmosphere here. And Ancient is often overlooked. I would think they departed from this style rather quickly. But here in is recorded in the end of 1993. Here you have a perfect balancing act between that cold, arrogant, neoclassical strain, but you also have some real, just meaty guitar riffs and a lot of melody. It's full of melody, but it's also got that little evil something. The production is, I think the productions are great here. Um, and I think that black metal often gets a bad like the people who criticize black metal oftentimes say that the music is not cohesive or it's full of noise. You can hear every single riff and solo and all that stuff on this. It's such a rewarding listen. And here we are all these years later, and to me it sounds as fucking evil and fresh as you want it. It's quite a guitar player's album. So that's a beautiful one. Svartalvheim. All right. And then we're gonna go over to another debut. Um, Fans of the show will probably be more readily familiar with Dimmu Borgir, which they achieved a lot of success, probably the most success commercially, certainly in the 90s and early 2000s. One of their longtime guitar players, Galder is his like stage name. He had his own side project called Old Man's Child, and their first album, Born of the Flickering. Yep, that's the right cover too. I have this reissue. I don't like this cover. That's like something somebody
No,
drew
I have
on.
that reissue too. I don't like the
Yeah,
cover either.
it's a real shame. That this thing with this fucking bat, and it's purple and velvety and like there was just this goth overtone, really, really popular in the 90s that I think was a real integral part of black metal. And when you look at the the band members' pictures, this guy Yardar, a great guitarist, all his picture is a candelabra in the dark. And I remember laughing at that when I was like 19. I'm like, oh, this guy is a bunch of candles. But this is another one. Born of the Flickering has the creepy atmosphere. If you talk to the band at the time, um, they they weren't even necessarily going for black metal. He was trying to make like dark evil metal. And I think if you look at it through that lens, you have all the cool like acoustic interludes and choral vocals and things like that. But again, it's a riff. It's fucking riff soup. It's filled with beautiful riffs. Um, Funeral Swords and Souls, I think, is one of the best black metal songs you'll ever hear. King of the Dark Ages, another one. It's a very consistent listen, and again, it's a type of music that you could see this album being made as a classical album, classic like you could redo it as a classical music. But then when you listen to it like this, it's just headbanging guitar. So I really want to stress that the magic and beauty of Norwegian black metal for me was the marriage between these classical elements and really heavy metal. And I don't think well, I mean, it's debatable if it's ever been done better or whatever, but for my money, it's unbelievable. And there was one more note I wanted to make about, it features a couple different vocalists. And one of the vocalists, a guy named Aldron, you will probably hear about him more tonight, because Bjorn Danker has been in some other unbelievable bands. And one of the cool things is that as cohesive and awesome as this album was, it was created largely by accident. They brought these guys in because they were available. They used the studio because it was available. It's so funny how so many beautiful like albums that we love forever were made in these atmospheres of like by accident. Oh, here we go. Oh, are you free tonight? Can you? I mean, literally, that's kind of what it was like with them. So, and the band itself did not remain with this particular style. They became a little more symphonic, but always guitar heavy. So I got to give love to that one. All right,
I'm
the
actually
next one.
surprised that
Oh, go ahead.
band.
Sorry.
I always thought that band was going to get a nice rub from the success of Dimmu and get a little bigger than they actually did. It never quite worked out that way because they were getting a good amount of press at the time.
You're right. And I think one of the reasons when I go back and listen to Old Man's Child, I can't stress it enough. It is a guitar player's album. His guitar, it's more of that. The black metal is more of like an overtone, the vocal style, the atmospherics, the lyrics. But you're right. They're enjoying a little bit of a comeback right now because he's started performing Old Man's Child music live, and it's everybody's talking about it. So, I think he's doing another album. We'll see. But the moment in time nature of a lot of these albums is one of the things that makes them so special. Um, all
I
right.
think the name
Yeah.
held them back a little bit too. I mean, Old Man's Child, what a fucking stupid name.
Yeah,
It's a reference to Satan, but yeah, it's not
It's just-
exactly smooth.
You don't think of black metal when you hear that name. You think of Grandpa fucking on a banjo or something.
Yeah, you're right. It was definitely I probably got into it from the album cover and the reputation and the label. I probably didn't even think about the name because if I had just heard the name, I would probably think it was clumsy as well.
I remember my introduction to them was their third album, Ill-Natured Spiritual Invasion,
Yeah.
which has Gene Hoglan on drums from
Hell yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
Angel and a million other bands.
Yeah.
And he's a great drummer on that. But yeah, he was just on that one album, and
Yeah.
it sounds very different than that album too. But
It's very catchy. This one is, yeah, exactly. The debut here, Born of the Flickering, definitely has more blast beat, sort of orchestral. But when they rip it up, man, whoa, it's the fucking most exciting shit, dude. Everybody, you got to listen to this stuff. All right. Just to keep it moving. So this is the most, let me correct myself. Yes. The next one I'm talking about is the most recently written of these albums. It was released in 2004. And this is a band, if fans of our show remember when Butch was on it, he used to always ask me what this logo was on my hat. Excuse me, on my hat. And it is, of course, Tsjuder. And this is their third album. It's called Desert Northern Hell. And this is a very much black and white Spike's Corpse Paint in the Woods statement by Tsjuder, who, again, they formed just after all of this stuff. So they're a little bit younger than some of these guys. Their music is very much like sped up Hellhammer and Old Celtic Frost. They don't fuck around. There's no keyboards. They're a three-piece. Again, they're Drogluin, their guitar player. They're a riff machine. So they're like the Motorhead of black metal, I guess you could say. Yeah, I mean they cover Sacrifice on here, they're all about Bathory, Frost, Venom, all that stuff. So you're not going to get the orchestral arrogance in the keyboards. You're going to get a really, really fast, brutal, just smash in the face. Again, compositionally wonderful because they have the songs, they have the riffs. And there's one song on here that's like 11 minutes long, and they make it work in this style, which is rare. All right. Desert Northern Hell, which is an interesting name. You don't often think of a desert as cold, but the coldest places on Earth are deserts.
Yes.
Right. All right. Where are we at? Okay. Darkthrone, which we're going to talk about a lot. I decided to go with Under a Funeral Moon, Darkthrone's third album. The last to feature guitar player Zephyrus. Yeah. Under a Funeral Moon. I went with this one, Ryan and I and Ralph, we obviously early Darkthrone is massive. And Under a Funeral Moon is probably not what most people would pick as the vital Darkthrone to start with, but I differ. I really think that the articulation and the compositions were meaner and a little more, I don't know, just like easier to digest. And that's not necessarily what you want. But if we're looking at this as like, okay, here are mandatory albums that you could bridge yourself into black metal with, I think Under a Funeral Moon goes really far. There's not a weak, dude. Fenris and Nocturnal Culto never performed live. They're the two guys who composed this music, and people are probably familiar with Darkthrone. All eras of Darkthrone to me have their strengths. And this was where they really, I think, got the rock and roll black metal formula, like really, really, it's just mean. It's just fucking mean. And yeah, and the production's probably a little cleaner than the previous one. Not Soulside, but and certainly we were talking about this, Ryan, with
yeah,
with Transylvanian Hunger is a little more of a raw production. That one's a little more, it's raw, but it's just like there's something, I don't know, a little bit more simplistic about the compositions that I really.
Funeral Moon's got one of the coldest fucking guitar tones ever.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's freezing
lowers the
cold
temperature in the room.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah, and I mean, I don't want to go too fast here, but or too slow rather, but Nocturnal there in the woods, like the dark face. I mean, the white face in the black forest. I'll never get tired of this motif. I don't care how many times it's done, but obviously the first people to do it, magnificent. All right, and right over to another popular choice on this show for this one that we're going to hear about. We're going to talk about Immortal, their debut. Does that look familiar, Rye? Did we not stand?
We stood right there. I don't have the picture handy.
No, I know I was going to
I
get
remember
it.
that. I remember you guys posting that.
It's somewhere
Yeah.
on my phone or on my computer here.
Yeah, Lisa Cluster Abbey, where these guys grew up. Beautiful place. Anyway,
Like 30 minutes outside of Bergen, Norway.
out of Bergen. Yep. So Immortal is needs no introduction, but their own introduction was this album released in 1993. Diabolical. Oh God, Jesus, hold on. Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism. Sorry, feeling the pressure. I don't want to go because I could talk about this shit till the fucking cows come home. But yeah, so you could pick. Oh, dude, you could pick pretty much any of the Immortal albums. You really can. They didn't get involved in any of the arsons and the murders and all the crazy shit. In fact, they're probably the most normal fucking guys under the sun. But their music, they took the blueprint of Bathory, they took the blueprint of Hellhammer and shit like that, and they really gave it just this never before seen kick in the ass. And this debut album, you've got your wind blowing sounds with the acoustic guitar. You've got this unbelievable atmosphere that I think really wasn't seen before. And we have to of course talk about Pitten. We have to talk about Grieg Hall and Studios. You really can't talk about Norwegian black metal without mentioning that, because the reverb drenched productions that you got out of that place informed the whole genre, and it created the way Martin Birch did with Maiden. Like it's just something that, again, it was a classical music studio named after Edvard Grieg. The marriage between classical music and black metal cannot be overstated, although it's not as readily evident in something like this. This is fucking balls out, timeless metal that, again, you got your melody, you got your riffs, not much in the way of keyboards on this, a few acoustic guitar interludes, but that's about it. And that takes us over to
it's not just Grieg Hall and Studio. It's a certain individual that did a lot of the recording at Grieg Hall and for them.
Pitten,
yeah, he did a lot of those albums, so he gets his name should really.
Yeah, I probably said it like too fast. Yeah, Pitten. Huskvind was his last name. I was doing research, and his daughter was a handball champion in Norway, that of the most like celebrated handball champion. So, trivia, talented family. But yeah, that we went into that studio or into the Grieg Hall in itself, and
we saw some of these bands there.
Yeah, and just to stand where all this happened, unbelievable. Black metal often gets overshadowed by like the bad boy nature of what some of these guys were doing, and I always hated to see that all the media attention go towards that. You had teenagers making compositionally mind-blowing fucking music in small towns. This doesn't really happen anymore. I mean, it does, but like people can access stuff way more easily. A lot of these guys put on corpse paint because they collected Kiss cards when they were 8 years old, and they were just like, "What the fuck is this?" And then their parents were teaching them how to classical music, and then all of a sudden they heard Iron Maiden and Slayer, and it's like this came out of it. So, in the same general area, Bergen, Norway, we have Enslaved. Again, a band that needs no introduction. Frost, I believe, is their second album. Yeah, look at this. I mean, Elemental.
It's a great cover.
Yeah, elements. That's what these guys, again, like Immortal, they're not hailing Satan, they're hailing the fucking mountains, the forest, the rivers, and the history of Norway. And I'll look at them on the, I mean, look, Grutel, Ivar, and Trim, the three gentlemen that created this, they were super young. I want to say that Ivar was like 13 when he recorded the first Enslaved stuff. Again, produced by Eirik Hundvin, as we mentioned, Pitten. He also plays a little bass on this, fretless bass. To describe this album, which came out in 1994, you have as much black metal fury as you do Viking chants, martial sections, neoclassical, almost like dungeon synth sections. Frost has it all. It's their second album, like I said. Whether it's Gylfaginning or the chanting of Yggdrasil, or some of the bangers like Loki and Fenris and what's the crazy one they always play? Jotun Blood. You're definitely having something that is like it's super unique for the time it came out. A lot of bands, a lot of styles have, I mean, there's whole careers of bands that were influenced by this work, and few and others like it. Of course, it all starts in Sweden with Bathory, but well, technically it starts with Manowar, but that's another conversation. But to get the Viking themes into the music. So it's just unbelievable. It is a fairly raw production, but you listen to it, you put your attention on it, it's you can hear everything. It's beautiful. And that takes us to the final two, right? Yeah. I picked, with so much to choose from, I decided to pick two of the first three albums by the band Satyricon. And one is their debut, Dark Medieval Times. This is a reissue that I got, a beautiful vinyl reissue. And Satyricon is another one that just an edifice of the second wave of Norwegian black metal that we're talking about. Satyr and Frost were the two guys involved in the compositions. This debut, which came out in October of 1993, again, you have your guitar riff heaven, you have all the melody that you could want, but it's presented in such a dark, like, you can believe that. Like, when I first heard this shit, I thought, oh, these guys live in a castle in the forest in the year 1247. It has that old school, like, just throwback to, like, I don't know, like, it's out of time. The music is just out of time. And what I mean by that is, like, from a different realm. It's to me, Dark Medieval Times doesn't often get mentioned with Satyricon, because they went through so many changes and they achieved commercial success, and good for them. Whatever. I just wish he wouldn't disparage these albums. I've heard him disparage them. They were so necessary to this movement, and Dark Medieval Times is a 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 fucking album. And yet they topped it, to me, in 1996 with Nemesis Divina, which features Nocturno Culto on this. He's on this album, the guy from Darkthrone. I will go down. I will say, yeah, there it is. I will put my 2 cents that this right here is the compositional pinnacle of black metal. Certainly Norwegian black metal. The marriage of brutality and that cold, arrogant sort of classical vibe, the biblical terror, the superstitious terror that pervaded most of society, and then the themes that they're talking about, they achieve it. You have the most epic song probably in black metal with Mother North. You have mean, brutal, fast Norwegian guttural in the title track. And then you have, like, these, cold, majestic melodic and, like, 4-hex set with the keyboard. Oh man, it's perfection. So the only thing that could top Dark Medieval Times to me was this. And I hope I didn't go on and ramble too long, Pete, but that's probably it.
Good stuff
I could
there.
go on. It's good.
And of course, one of Nick's picks is also on Ralph's list, so he's going to talk about that next. So, Ralph, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so me and Nick both picked Emperor Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk from 1997. This band formed in 1991 by Ishan and Samuth. It's possibly my favorite black metal album from any country. When this album came out, it was like a game changer. I think it's a total masterpiece. Both Metal Maniacs and Terrorizer had it as the album of the year back then. For a black metal band to be getting that kind of praise, I love the flow of this album, the production on this album. I mean, here gone are the days where you have to have the lo-fi production. This is a clear, crystal clear, sharp production, I think. I love the flow of this album, and some of the riffs on this album remind me of like a swarm of murder hornets trapped in a tornado. They got cool shit going on in this, and I can't say enough about it. I just remember when it came out, it just really blew my mind, you know. And just really quick on what Nick was talking about, that Satyricon is I had gotten these like bootleg kind of videotapes. They were like collections of videos back then, but the Mother North video from Satyricon was like the greatest video back then, you know, and I had that on this, and I got a bunch of these cool old VHSs. But so now I'm going to continue on my list.
Yep.
So next, one of the most notorious albums, the Mysteriis Satanas. I got the old CD here, but and I'm wearing like a vintage shirt from like the mid 90s. Yeah, the songwriting for this album started in 91, but the release date was pushed back until 94 because the suicide of vocalist Per Dead Olden and the murder of guitarist Euronymous by Varg. And it's raw as hell, dark, cold, evil, most influential Norwegian black metal band. Check out the song Freezing Moon. If you can't get past like that song, you probably won't like these guys, but they're still going strong today. They just put out a new album. I actually meant to grab it. I forgot to grab it. I just bought it the other day at Rock Fantasy. And they haven't changed much, you know. They're tighter and better production and stuff, but they're just such an important band to the whole scene. And of course, you know, all the controversy, especially once this book came out, The Lords of Chaos, and then of course they made a movie of that. And you know, then Varg put out a book recently where he's like got his side of the story. And this is a great book for Mayhem fans to check out. It's the whole book, just full on history of Mayhem. Great pictures in this book, so go check that book out. But yeah, awesome album. Oh, here's another really cool book for black metal fans. If you're into this, you can learn a lot by these books, but this is a big, huge like table book where it's like this all crazy pictures of black metal guys from back then, all the different corpse paint and stuff. All right, so next I'm going to go Darkthrone. I went with Transylvania Hunger. And it's like Nick was kind of saying, like, I didn't like listen to every Darkthrone and do a ranking and then pick my favorite Dark. It's just the one that popped out. And I seen that he picked one and then Ryan picked one. So I was like, I'll just take this one. It's not like I did that with any of these ones. So
you really can't go wrong with any of those first couple anyway, right? So,
yeah, I fucking love that. I love that album.
Well, out of the three that we pick, it's called the Unholy Trinity. Is what they call that era from the three that we actually picked without like talking about it. But yeah, this is the third album of what's known as the Unholy Trinity era. And it's the first album as a two-piece band with Fenriz credited with all the music and songwriting and Nocturnal Culto on vocals. Half the album's lyrics were written by Varg. A lot of controversy surrounds this album because of what it says on the back cover. If you got an original copy, which I do have here, I have an original copy, but what it's what it says Norse Arcturus black metal, but it's basically what it's is. I want to get the exact words so I don't mess it up. It's Norwegian Aryan black metal, and that caused so much controversy. On their very next album, Panzerfaust, they had to put something saying that. Yep, he's got the original one.
Yeah, I got the original press.
Yeah, they on the back of this album they explain how they're not a Nazi band and they're not a political band. It's something that Varg probably had something to do with that even, and so they kind of dismissed that. And then future copies of that, of course, didn't have that, but that was very controversial at the time. The follow up, there's a backwards message that was also kind of controversial. And if you played it backwards on the one song, it's as flitter mice as Satan's spy. If you play it backwards, it says, "In the name of God, let the churches burn." So that was another.
Ralph, I just wanted to throw in with that controversial message. It's widely, they've said many times that coming out on the heels of like a lot of the extreme blasphemous death metal that had gotten so huge in America, Deicide and Morbid Angel, things like that. They were just looking. They wanted to be on the next step offensive. They were trying on purpose to be as shocking as they could. So that was like the next step after Satan. They had no more of an ownership over what they said than Glenn Benton does about, killing people for Satan. You know what I mean? It was just like they were just trying to be as
very young, trying to be blasphemous. It's kind of like the Sex Pistols used to wear swastikas on their shirts.
Yeah, it was just trying to be extreme. That's all.
Yeah, there's even old pictures of Sepultura in Brazil, and they're like 14 years old, but they got swastikas and stuff. They're just trying
to be as in your face as possible. That's all. Yep.
All right. So next, I'm going to go with my Immortal pick. Again, I didn't listen to the whole discography to pick it, but I went with Battles in the North. So I got this weird gatefold one, but this is all. I love all the Immortal stuff.
There's no wrong answer when it comes to Immortal. Any one of them is worth picking.
I don't even mind the drums on that album because there's controversy if the drums were sped up.
Yeah.
But I like the drums sound like a bunch of fucking artillery cannons going off right in your ear, but it never bothered me.
Yeah, it's so extreme. 1995, the third album. They formed in 91. Abbott plays bass, and this is the last time he's credited as the drummer. But like Ryan was saying, was he actually playing drums or is it a spread up drum machine or whatever? Extremely fast and vicious tempos. We used to say Abbott's vocals sounded like if Popeye was possessed by Satan, This is what he would sound like. Check out the song on this album, Mighty Raven Dark. And it's cool that we're doing this in the heart of winter. Here's Abbott in the snow globe.
Nice.
Pulled out. And I got an Abbott bobblehead. But so that's my Immortal. Now, I took. I also had Satyricon, Nemesis, Divina, and Enslaved Frost. But Nick had talked about them, so now I'm going to go to Gorgoroth, Pentagram. Let's see. For this one is the 1994 debut album. These guys formed in 92. It's a quick album, around a half an hour long. The name Gorgoroth comes from the dead plateau of darkness in the land of Mordor. Lord of the Rings fans, I guess, It's the only album to feature Samuth from Emperor on bass, and it's absolutely insane vocals by Hat. That's right, his name is Hat. That's like how one word like Madonna, his name is Hat. Not Gall on this one, or Pest, who's I think with them now. Extreme hellish pummeling black metal, the way I like it. Fucking great album. Gorgoroth, and now I'm gonna go to this one sounds quite a bit different, I think, than a lot of these other bands because they add other elements to it. The one I picked is from Aeternus, is Beyond the Wandering Moon, 1997. It's their debut. They formed in 93. Some call them black and death metal band. They like themselves call it dark metal. Very different, kind of pretty much the same black metal, dark metal. But it's different than the rest of these bands on my list. They got death metal vocals, but it's like black metal music. and it stands out as something a little different. Some of the bands kind of sticking with the same formula. I'm really glad how as black metal progressed, they really branched out and went all over the place. It couldn't all just be like that Bathory sound over and over again. They really had to branch out, and bands like this was doing it like right from the get go. And now I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go Dødheimsgard with Kronet 1995, formed in 1994. That the name. Let's see, their name means death, home, realm, or natural translation in English would be realm of death. And the title Kronet til Konge in English means crown to be king. In 1999, they shortened their name to DHG and changed their style from raw, old school black metal to like an industrial, evil, avant garde music. So this is another band that stretched out and just went beyond the raw black metal sound. But this album is like really raw and evil, really cool stuff. And now I'm going to go with the band Hades. So this band, the Dawn of the Dying Sun, 1997. It's their second album. I got their first album here too.
Great fucking album.
I got the first one, and I even have vintage old cassette demo from their demo. But they had to change their name after this album, their second album, to Hades Almighty, because of complaints from the New Jersey band with the same name, which is this band, Hades.
Yep.
And me and Pete both seen them opening up for Slayer on Rain and Blood tour at Chance. They were the open band. And the guitarist Jorn Ying Tunsberg was convicted alongside of Varg for burning down a church, and it's all covered in that Lords of Chaos book. This is black Viking metal, different tempos, cool slower parts, demonic tortured vocals. That's it for my list there. Right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Ralph.
My Hades, the second album I have there is a reissue, and they switched it back to Hades again. So I don't know what legally came out of it, but they just went back to using Hades. But yeah, what a great band.
Two bands couldn't be more different, right?
No, it's worlds apart. But and I understand that you don't want to use the same name. All right, my brain was like my brain holds thoughts like a sponge holds fucking water. So I have to get a list here. All right.
I froze on the name of this album. Don't worry.
Here we go. So I got 10 albums, some of them very, very few overlaps. So the first one to me, Nick's probably going to stab me through the fucking phone here or the computer. That's fine. This is a Goldilocks album. When I say Goldilocks, because I like the first album and I like stuff they did after this, but I don't love any of it. But the second album, I love. And it's the only album by this band that I really, really love. I'm sorry, Nick, I got to do it. The band is Borknagar, and it's their second album, The Olden Domain, from 1997. I know Nick's a big fan of some of their later stuff. In fact, I believe you even
Me too. Yep.
Yeah. And I like it, but it's after this album, it's just not my favorite. But this album it's a Goldilocks album. It's the poor. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. So their first album, self-titled, was more pure black metal. Very, very good. But to me, this album is like the perfect mix of something that a lot of these bands have been doing. It's a mix of prog, black metal, a little bit of Viking black metal, folky elements in there. It's a pretty good stew they mix together. I think they do it extremely well. It's not extremely well produced. It has just enough rawness, which I like. So I don't like black metal when it's like sounds like like a fucking Taylor Swift album. I want a little bit of that rawness and sounds like a band's playing in front of you, and there's like a little bit of nastiness going on there. But yeah, this is a really, really good album. No satanic lyrics with this one, like songs like A Tale of Pagan Tongue, To Mountain Rove, Ascension of Our Fathers.
The Winter Way.
Oh yeah, it's all very pagan themed, which is another popular stuff with these kinds of bands. Just triumphant music. And I do know that when it comes to this, I'm in the minority because their later stuff is very universally popular, right? They're a very beloved band. So I know I'm definitely in a minority opinion, but yeah, this album is their one true 10 out of 10 masterpiece to me, and I just fucking love it. Let's see now. I have to write all this down here. So I went with, okay, as you guys were saying, Darkthrone. We're all picking our albums. I ended up with their second album, which actually is my favorite. I do love the. Actually, I like every Darkthrone album. I'm not going to lie to you. Even Goat Lord, which is kind of the lost, forsaken child. But of the three that they did on Peaceful Records, Blazing in the Northern Sky, Under a Funeral Moon, and Transylvanian Hunger, like that trio, the Unholy Trinity, the Peaceful Trio, whatever they call it. This one's my favorite. This one is when they first transitioned to black metal. They all have different album cover arts or cover models there. This one's Zephyrus. There's old Zephyrus just screaming in the woods. There's a young guy there. They all had a turn. And of course this is a trio at this point. Fenris, Nocturnal Culto, and Zephyrus making up this album. So this album is. You could definitely tell that they were a big fan of the house that Tom G. Warrior built, because there's a lot of Hellhammers, a lot of Celtic Frost happening here. But I don't think it's derivative. I think they do more than enough of their own sound, where it's like, yeah, these guys definitely love Morbid Tales and Apocalyptic Raids, but there's no ripoff in my mind. It's very different atmosphere. It's much colder. It's very fucking cold. I think this album is my favorite drumming. Well, that is, I think it is. It's my favorite drumming that Fenris ever did. Because in some of the later albums, he really kind of perfected a more minimalist style, which I like Transylvanian Hunger. It's a very minimalist style of playing, which fits the music. But on this one, he's doing all kinds of rolls and stuff, and he's not going like full Dave Lombardo or like Alex Van Halen. But he's definitely laying some good beats down, and the production's great too. It's raw, but everything is super clear, which is what I like. I don't like when I'm like, is that a bass? Is that a bass drum in there? Where's the snare? The snare's like 8 rooms over, buried under a fucking pile of mattresses. I don't mind raw sound as long as it's clear and you can hear what's going on. And these guys always had that, raw as it is, you can hear every instrument in the mix, which that's all I really care about. There's 6 songs on this album, and every single one is fucking perfect. But the first 2 in particular, Cartharian Life Code and In the Shadow of the Thorns, which is one of the most black metal fucking names ever. I think Nick has had to deal with me drunkenly fucking screaming at his ears a couple times over the years. I'm sure I'm responsible for at least 10% of your tinnitus there, buddy. I apologize. 15%. Yeah. So this is, every Darkthrone album's good. Like I said, as they went throughout the years, they're still good today. But man, this is, and that trio is perfect. But this is probably my favorite. What do we got going on next year?
All you guys talking, I want to be like, on like a preacher and I want to be like, Lord, amen, mercy, yes.
Okay.
You guys are, it's so hard to listen to people talk about this stuff.
Next one is a band that Ralph just talked about. He talked about their debut. I'm going to talk about their second album, which is my favorite by them. Debut was really, really good. The band is Dødheimsgard. This is their second album, a Monumental Possession from 1996, 1 year after. So the first album, Kronet Kong, is more of a traditional black metal. This album is pure black thrash. It's way faster. It's very thrashy. It actually has a lot of connection to a band that they shared members with, the other band, Or Noir, or like one of the more legendary Norwegian black thrash bands. So this almost kind of comes off like an early Or Noir album. Very, very fast, very thrashy. And after this, they changed completely. They went 100% different direction. It became like this experimental avant-garde, black-ish metal band, proggy. And I like that stuff sometimes. But to me, this is their masterpiece. Yeah, every song on this, Utopia Running, Scarlet, Bluebell Heart, Monumental Possession, Angel Death. Just an awesome album. But doesn't sound like anything else in their discography. They're one of those bands where they changed a lot album to album. So the first one's just black metal, and then the one after this, 666 International, was like, I don't know, more industrial sounding, almost very electronic.
Industrial.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not my favorite album in that style, because I'll come to another album in a minute, which is much more representative. But to me, if you're gonna hear Dødheimsgard, of course, very cool album cover, just a classic. Like a good old fucking satanic Baphomet there. This is a really cool album. What else we got? My memory is just shit, so I have to go back to my phone every time here.
Exactly.
Here we go. There we go.
The heavy
I
hitter.
like this album so much. This was my first ever. I'm a big boy now, and I'm going to get a tattoo without telling my mommy. So I got the cover of, very hard to see, the Grim Reaper, Gustav Dore piece there. Death Rides a Horse. Where does that come from? Well, it was on an EP, but then it was later repurposed on the debut album by Emperor in the Nightside Eclipse. For a long time, I said this was my favorite black metal album of all time. Sometimes I still feel that way. The artwork is, you can just get fucking lost in this artwork, man. This is beautiful. Absolutely. Done by a one each artist. There's done quite a few covers up there. Necrolord, Kristen Whalen, a Norwegian artist. Fucking awesome gatefold art. The Norwegian mountain. And this was when they still had Court on with the band, and Faust was on drums. He only played with them for a little while, first couple of releases, and then this is the only full-length album he played on. Of course, he also went to prison for murder, so quite a while in there. So there was a lot of bad boys, naughty bullshit with these guys back then. But this album is perfect. Like Nick was saying earlier, they were very young when they wrote this. And to basically be like 15, 16, 17 in that time frame. I remember when I was 15, 16, 17, I was dumb as a fucking tree stump. And these guys are at that age, and they're writing this shreddy, neoclassical, brilliant music that's catchy, dynamic, instrumentally, like, there's a lot going on. They're not just banging out simple songs. There's a lot of depth and variety and emotion to this music, lyrically, musically, song to song. It blows my mind that these guys were able to write shit like this. Every song on this album, again, I sound like a fucking broken record saying this, is amazing. Like cosmic keys to my creation in times. You can blast this in the car. You can put this on headphones and fall asleep to it. And much like some of the Darkthrone albums, one of the hallmarks to me of good shitty black metal production is it sounds the exact same on like a blown out speaker in like a 92 Civic as it does on a $2,000 stereo. It doesn't matter what the hell you put it on. It just sounds the exact same. And I consider that a compliment because you can't like, I bought this super ultra edition rare whatever version of like Pink Floyd's Animals. I'm going to play it on my $85,000 super expensive stereo. These albums are like, fuck you, it's going to sound the same as on that shitty Civic you used to drive in high school. It doesn't matter. And I like that. I think it's the consistency, because you're going to get the exact same thing and it sounds great at low volume or high volume. It's awesome. Again, produced in Grieg Holland and Bergen, Norway by Pitten. I think one of his better productions. I love how Anthems sounded. The next album, very different album too. They changed quite a bit, album to album. This is still very black metal, but Anthems is a whole different atmosphere to it. Still fucking brilliant, but this is my personal favorite one. This is really, really good. So that is my next one. All right, keep going back to my phone here. What else we got? Oh, here we go. A new album. A album from the year 2018, like brand new. I was thinking about this. I'm like, I want to put something much more modern in, not just use exclusively 90s albums. But I think we all agree most of the iconic albums are all in the 90s. But I'm like, there's got to be something new that's of equal value. And one album immediately came to mind. It is from North Norway. I think they're from, let me make sure I get the city here. Trondheim in North Norway. The band is Mare, and the album is called Ebony Tower. It's their only album to date so far. They have very, very few releases, just a couple EPs, and this full length. It is only 5 songs. This is like the most perfect atmospheric black metal ever. You could put this on headphones, and it takes you to the fucking woods. And the album cover is nice and simple. It's just this foggy top of a mountain. But man, these guys have such a crystal perfect atmosphere. The production's great, but like perfectly balanced, nice and warm. I just can't recommend it enough. Like as soon as I'm thinking like I want to pick something from after the year 2000, it was like it's got to be Mare. I saw these guys in a cave in Norway, and it was fucking
Of course
awesome.
you did.
and I had to trudge through a goddamn deluge rainstorm, a tsunami of rain to get to the venue. It was during Beyond the Gates Fest in the year 2018. It was a whole bunch of bands playing, and they were playing in a separate venue, which ended up just being a fucking cave. It ended up being like 2 miles from the actual venue, uphill. Nobody knew we were going. I ended up we're walking both ways because everything in Bergen is both uphill. There's no downhill in that city. It's crazy. You live there long enough, and your calf muscles are just like you're a beast. Yeah, we ended up walking for a while. I got lost. I met some Hungarian guys. Like, I think it's this way. I'm like, all right, let's go. Hopefully, I don't lose a kidney. We ended up finding a venue. Everybody's soaking wet. If the venue held 100 people, there was 1,000 people in there. They take the stage, and they just were fucking awesome. Like, this is just fucking great. This what a great time. So yeah, I recommend the shit out of this. It's just proper cold, perfect black metal. That's Mare, Ebony Tower. It is on Terror Possessions, who does a lot of really good newer black metal releases. So they're really carrying the torch in the modern age. Who else we got here? Immortal. Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for my Immortal album. It's their second album, Pure Holocaust. They always, these guys are like, you could tell they grew up loving Kiss, like Nick said. These guys grew up loving Kiss, and Immortal always puts themselves on the album cover, just like Kiss did back in the day. They really like that. Except they're all, corpse paint, which I guess is not too far from what Kiss did. The first Immortal album, which I love, was definitely way more than that Bathory influence that we were talking about, because Bathory are kind of the godfathers of this in a way. This moves them in a different direction. Now it's a lot faster. It's a lot more streamlined and a lot more menacing in a way. It's not to the point where they get on like Blizzard Beast when it's like, Jesus, fucking Christ, it's over the top. Usually just gets labeled as like, okay, that's the Immortal album. Again, like we've said, you throw a dart at the board, they're all good. But this is a really, really good album too. And it says just classic Immortal song titles like Unsilenced Storms in the North Abyss, Sign for the Norse Hordes to Ride, Storming Through Red Clouds and Holocaust Winds. I mean, that's obviously not folk rock or something that the Grateful Dead are going to play, my friends. That's a black metal proper. So yeah, great album. I like even the newer Immortal stuff, and even some of the offshoots. Like Abbott had a side band, just the letter I. A couple of, I think, like almost 20 years ago now, right? And that was a great album too. So anything these guys do is generally very, very good.
And you were talking about Kiss. It's like this one Abbott box that came with this. Here's like the patch, but it's also a template. So you put the makeup on. It came with a little pad. We should have all done black metal corpse paint for this episode.
Yeah, it gets messy. What else?
Too late.
Okay, so I also had Mayhem de Mysteriis Aeternus, which I respectfully disagree, Nicholas. But if you put a gun to my head and you say, what is the definitive Norwegian black metal album? I got to go with de Mysteriis Aeternus. Mayhem's still going today. They just put out a new album like about a month ago. It's a good album. They got most of the lineup, obviously, of that album. Attila's back on vocals, Necro Butcher. Well, Necro Butcher didn't play on that album, but he was in the band back then. Hellhammer on drums. But De Mysteriis was is the masterpiece. Every song's perfect. I was fortunate to, I'll add this, I was fortunate to see them 4 times play that whole album in its entirety. They played it at the Chance of Poughkeepsie, which was great.
We think we were all.
I think 1 or 2 nights later.
The other day, yeah.
That was cool. And then the other day, or actually like a day or two after that, they played in Brooklyn at St. Vitus, just by themselves, no opener. And it was just, they came out, they played the album, and that was it. That was the whole show. It was like a 45-minute long concert. It was perfect. Then we saw them do it at Maryland Death Fest one year. I don't remember the year because it's all blur. And then Nick and myself saw them in 2022 in Greek Hall and in Bergen. They did it again. They played the whole album, and it was fucking great. And that's with Enslaved and Emperor, I think. I don't know if Emperor or Enslaved played an album, but I don't remember which one it was. But and Emperor did 2 sets, old stuff and new stuff, with the different lineups too. So that was cool. It's just a great show. But to hear Mayhem play that album in its entirety was fucking special.
I think Enslaved did Vikingligr Veldi.
That's it. The first album, the debut. The next one I had was Nemesis Divina by Satyricon, which I can add nothing to what Nick said about that because he spoke very articulately and greatly on that album. It is my favorite Satyricon album, by the way. And the last one I wanted to talk about was this one. This is from the year 2000. Sort of an odd band. They were around back in the day, early on, but they never did an album. They did some demos that almost like half formed, like kind of like not just like more sketches than real demos. The main member of the band, Snore Ruck, went to prison for a while for naughty things, like some of these guys. Comes out of prison and puts together a lineup that includes members from Mayhem, I think the Borknagar, I think maybe Dødheimsgard too. Dødheimsgard, a few of these guys. and puts out an album. To this date, it's the only thing they've done, although they've been threatening a second album for years. And the band is called Thorns. And this was way more of an industrial sound too, kind of like that. Geez, a lot of these bands did that. Who was I talking about before that did the industrial sound? I already forgot. The Dødheimsgard. So they did an industrial album. Satyricon, after Nemesis Divina, they did one called Rebel Extravaganza that had a little bit of an industrial thing. Mayhem did one. Their follow-up album, their full length to De Mysteriis Dom Sathanas was Grand Declaration of War, which also was kind of like a weird industrial album. Some of those, take them or leave them. I like a lot of it, but it's a love or hate thing, and I get that. But the Thorns album from the year 2000 to me is the final word in that sound because it's got this kind of industrial sound. It's cold, but it's mechanical, but it works. It's just, I don't know, it's fucking catchy and it's very immersive and very, very good headphones album too. Really good on headphones because there's all kinds of stuff going on in the mix that you really pick up on headphones. But it's fucking brutal too. Like it's fast and intense and catchy too. It doesn't kind of get lost up its own ass. It's good stuff. Yeah, really, really good. Fortunately, my copy's a little bent up here. I think it fell off a truck somewhere.
Right, the vocals by Bjorn Denker. That was the guy that did vocals on Old Man's Child. That was what I was referring to.
He's on this as well, I think. Yeah, there's a few vocalists on this. It's basically Snore, the guitarist, and then like a mix of friends that came in to help him finish the album. Yeah, really, really good album. This one, my copy's on Peaceville. Pretty easy to find. And yeah, if I was to recommend one album in that more in late 90s, early 2000s, I always would call it, or I always heard it insulted as like Matrix metal. Because some of the band photos, they always looked like they were in the fucking Matrix with trench coats and the dollar store sunglasses. I'm like, whatever. It's not wrong, but
they were trying to get away from the castles and stuff. But for industrial metal, industrial black metal, we'd have to just give a quick mention to Mysticum and their in the Streams of Inferno album.
I want you to know that
more industrialist sound, not from Norway, but
I just want to say, Nick, since you said Mysticum, where are they from again? Are they Norwegian or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was after the Mysticum set where I left the venue and had to walk through this fucking rainstorm to see Mare in the cave. So I left. I missed like 2 or 3 songs of Mysticum, and I'm like, I gotta get fucking drenched in water, and that was my night.
I got to see Mysticum at Steelfest a couple years ago, and I was right up front. And the entire show was the entire stage set was just black and white, and then strobes. Like yes. I've never worried about catching epilepsy from strobes, but that night I was like, I might get epileptic.
I don't think you can catch epilepsy.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like get a fucking seizure going. Like it was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen.
I saw them. Shit, I've seen so many bands. I've seen them 3 times, and yeah, every time I saw Mysticum, it was like a goddamn, it's like staring at the sun and blinking really fast. It's very sensory overwhelming.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my last one is Thorns, self-titled album. Great album. There you go.
You got this one, Ryan? It's like Thorns and Emperor.
Yeah,
I have it.
That's a weird split. It's weird. I have it. I don't really listen to it much because it's just it's very experimental. But every couple of years I put it on and I'm like, oh, okay, when they play each other's songs and it's cool, but it's not my go-to for either band.
Hey Ryan, I think you skipped one. Did you do your Aeternus?
Oh, I did skip one. See, this is why I got. Yeah, I did skip one. I
had it pulled out.
I got it right here. Yeah, I pulled it out. Okay, so this is also a band Ralph mentioned. So Ralph mentioned their debut album, Beyond the Wandering Moon, which is a great album from '97. This is their second album from '98. It's the band's Aeternus. I'm taking it out of the plastic here because it's kind of dark. Band's Aeternus, and this is And So the Night Became. Still can't see shit. Whatever. You can look it up on the internet. So this is a really perfect hybrid of like black metal and death metal. First one was a little black metal, then after this they kind of went different directions. But again, it's fucking Goldilocks metal. It's perfect. It's like very triumphant, cold black metal. but it has the intensity of death metal, which is a lot of bands do it, but to get it just right is not easy. And this is 98, so this is kind of like a little bit later than a lot of these classic albums. And these guys are, I think, a little unheralded because they really deserve to be mentioned with like a lot of the classic of the genre. Obviously, like two of us have mentioned them tonight. And yeah, this album is just perfect too. Definitely a different vibe than a lot of his other stuff. Way more death metal, but has this big, that bigness to it that good black metal should have. But the intensity, like the wall punching intensity of death metal. So yeah, the second Aeternus album, and So the Night Became, is really, really good. I saw them one year at Maryland Death Fest, and without looking, I didn't Google it. For the life of me, I just cannot remember what year it was. But they were fucking incredible. Nick, I don't remember if you were there that year, or obviously if you were, you would have been in the room with me watching them.
Yeah. I'll see.
Well, they played inside the Rams head at Maryland Death Fest. I'll remember that. That was the venue. But yeah, that's my 10.
Cool. Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today. So I have a couple that have not been mentioned. I'll mention some of the ones that have already been covered that made my list as well. So Darkthrone, got to go with any one of those three albums. I picked A Blaze in the Northern Sky. All three are worthy. All three. I love that cover. That cover's so haunting and spooky. It's great. Love it. Yeah. Emperor. Either the first two I could have picked. There's something really cold and chilling and like about that first album though. So I'm going to go with In the Nightside Eclipse. And that album cover is great. It's raw, it's savage, but there's a lot of artsiness to that album as well, which I think Emperor always kind of had. And then got to go with Mayhem, De Mysteriis Dom Satanas. Is it my favorite black metal album of all time? No. But is it like the kind of poster child for this style of music? Perhaps. And as the guys were talking about before, if you go see them play this live, it takes on a whole new life. I mean, Attila's vocals on this album are just like so chilling and different sound than anybody I've ever heard before. But when you see them up there playing with the candelabras and everything like that, and the smoke, it's just like, you feel like you're somewhere else for sure. Yeah, definitely cool stuff. All right. And my first album that I'm going to talk about today that has not been mentioned yet is from 1995. And that is the debut album from Ulver. It's called Berktat. It's got a whole long title, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce. But, Nick was mentioning earlier on how some of this black metal stuff has a lot of roots in like classical music and folk. You probably get that from this album more than any other album. I mean, this is a very moody album, dripping with melancholy. It's not all furious black metal. There's folk on here. There's classical on here. You got acoustic guitars, a lot of clean vocals. I mean, Garm is a really, really good singer, whether he was doing the hellish black metal stuff or whether he's doing his clean melodic vocals. I'm going to try and pronounce some of these song titles, which are worthy of checking out. Troldskog Farenvield is the opening track.
Not bad, Pete.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's so good. It's very proggy and melodic, but it's got that Norwegian atmosphere. Really great guitar work throughout. And then if you want to hear the more evil black metal side to the band, you got to hear Solengar Bag As, which shows the melodic side of the band with the furious side of the band, which is really, really good. Grablik Blev Hun Weir has great folky acoustic guitar and absolutely venomous black metal. Really, really good blast beats everywhere. A lot of great riffing on this album. The title track is absolutely ferocious. So if you want a lot of variety in your black metal, this is a great album. The second album is really good too. I kind of like this one a little bit more. This band would really kind of change over the years. I really have not gotten into a lot of their more electronic experimental stuff. I know some people love it. For me, it's all about the early stuff. I know they've tried to get back into it in certain spots throughout their career, but this is such a great part of the early black metal scene. Really, really great album. All right, we've talked about them already. I said we were going to have more from them. So really any album from Immortal is worthy of picking here. I'm going to go with At the Heart of Winter, which is probably my favorite album. It's from 1999. It's their fifth album, first without Demon Oz on guitar. Of course, he developed tendonitis, so he stopped playing guitar and just continued to write lyrics for them. And Abath, of course, would go on and play guitar and bass in the band going forward, or at least guitars going forward, or guitar and bass on this particular album. Horg on drums on this record. Peter Togdren produces this album. I mean, this album is chock full of riff-o-rama. It's kind of thrashy. They would go on for a few albums and do more of like a thrash-oriented version of black metal, but I think it really works. I love the production of this album. The guitars sound absolutely razor sharp and monstrous. Right on the opening track, Withstand the Fall of Time, which is one of my favorite Immortal songs. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, the riffs are just so enormous, just like, it can knock down walls. I mean, just absolutely amazing stuff. Solar Fall is amazing.
Great.
Again,
So
crushing
fucking
track. It's thrashy, but it's black metal. It's got some atmospheric sections. Tragedies Blows at Horizon. It's relentless, really, really good. And I think Abath's riffs on this entire album are just so, so good. I mean, who knew he could play riffs like this? It's amazing how this guy just came out and basically kind of took over the sound of the band and just knocked it out of the park. Years of Silent Sorrow is great. Title track is absolutely epic. I mean, to me, this is a black metal classic. I absolutely love it. Perfect album. I also chose Satyricon, Dark Medieval Times. I also chose Enslaved Frost. Can't go wrong with any Enslaved album, in my opinion. The older stuff obviously is more traditional. The later stuff I love is more progressive black metal. Love it. I also chose Pentagram by Gorgoroth, which is absolutely fucking relentless.
Fucking
great album.
vocal
Evil
shredding.
album. Evil
Shredding.
album. Oh my God. So evil. And then my last pick that has not been chosen. Well, let me name one more because I also picked Borknagar, the Olden Domain. I love Borknagar. I like a lot of the more progressive symphonic stuff later on, but their best true black metal album is the Olden Domain. Really good. Some really talented dudes in that band.
True.
Really talented dudes in this band. But I would tell folks watching, if you're still not sold on black metal yet, but you want to hear a black metal man doing really kind of proggy symphonic stuff, check out any of Borknagar's more recent albums of the last, 15, 20 years at least. Because the Olden Domain, what year was that again?
97.
97. So yeah, pretty much
97,
anything
8.
from like 2001 or 2 and onward for Borknagar is definitely different and more in the current style. Really, really good stuff. And speaking of the more symphonic style of black metal, so I had to throw one album by the band that probably really speaks to that side of that style of black metal, which is Dimmu Borgir. This is Enthroned Darkness Triumphant, their third album from 1997. So here we got Shagrath taking over as lead singer and guitarist on this album. Lots of keyboards here. And going forward, you hear lots of keyboards on their album. Stian Arstad plays keyboards on here. Becomes part of this symphonic black metal sound. Morning Palace, great opener. Ragged vocals. I mean, Shagrath's vocals like early on in this band when we first started singing are very different from how he would sound later on. Lots of big riffing, a lot of proggy keyboards on this album. Spellbound by the Devil is very, very heavy, very cool. Lots of orchestral elements. Relinquishment of Spirit and Flesh, The Night Masquerade is some of his best rasps on the entire album. Tormentor of Christian Souls is absolutely relentless. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the drummer on here is Joldav or something like that.
Same drummer as on the Old Man's Child album I talked about. He's incredible.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's really, really good. There's some cool proggy stuff on here, as there is on a lot of their albums. I think there's a little bit more adventurous arrangements on this album. Some of the more popular albums, some of their more popular albums are very cool, very catchy, very accessible. Succubus in Rapture is great. Prudence Fall. I mean, there's lots of great songs on here. Subsequent albums would feature lots and lots more keyboards and symphonic arrangements. I think if you want more of their raw sound with some of that symphonic elements, this is a really good place to start. There's plenty of savage stuff on this album. Really, really worth it.
Also Tatrigan production.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah,
it does. It sounds really good too.
Yeah.
It was my gateway album.
Yeah, it's still my favorite by them.
Yeah. They have a lot of good albums, but if you want more of the kind of traditional black metal sound, this is a good one to check out. Their first album is really good too for what it is. So
very much.
So those are my picks. It's a lot of black metal stuff for you folks to go check out.
There's a lot of black metal albums.
So for folks watching, if you are a fan of this style of music and you have some favorites that we have not mentioned tonight, list them in the comments below. And yes, we realize there's probably one band we have not talked about here today that starts with a B. We made the decision not to cover them today just because they are so controversial. So folks watching, if you're into the style of music, you know who we're talking about.
You already know.
You already know. So you may enjoy some of their albums. That's great, but we just didn't want to go there. So
naughty word.
Yes, lots of stuff can be had and heard about them if you so want to go check that out. But yeah, look at it. So that's our show, folks. So leave us your comments down in the comment section below. Feedback on this episode. We have another cool extreme episode coming up in just a couple of weeks. We've got another death metal debut battle royal coming up. Some really, really cool albums. So that'll be just a few weeks. So stay tuned for that. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. All the damn time. There you go. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, and the Sea of Tranquility membership option. All down below. Thanks everybody for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. And we'll see you soon here with more stuff. For Ryan, Scal, Nick Franco, and Count Ralphus, I am P. Pardo. Thanks for joining us here on the Hudson Valley Squares. See you next time. Take care.